Good morning. So we have Elijah, who's a pretty important person, by the way, if you didn't notice. He's a big deal in the Old Testament. And Elijah, you kind of have to go back a little bit to know what Elijah did. So Elijah is there with Ahab. And Elijah tells Ahab, your gods are worthless. They have no power because my God is greater. So he has a little contest. He's like, I have an idea. Let's make a sacrifice. You make your sacrifice, and I'll make my sacrifice to my God, and we'll see whose God wins. So he does it. And he calls down fire from heaven, and God keeps telling Elijah, let's just make a point about this, and let's put more water on the sacrifice. So they douse it with water. And God's fire still consumes the altar and sacrifice. And Elijah's feeling pretty good, right? So Elijah says to Ahab, is your God in the bathroom? Where is your God? Can he not even do this? And then Elijah follows up by killing 450 of Baal's prophets. So it was a busy day. So when he got done with that, he leaves. And he's frustrated. Because even though God had showed himself, and even though God had revealed who he was to the people, not everybody got it. People still were not listening to the message of who God is. And so he begins to go on a journey. And where does he go? He's going to Mount Horeb, which is also known as Mount Sinai, which is where who else was? Moses. Because he's trying to go to the place where they were able to communicate with God. He wants to figure out, what do we do next? Because this isn't working. I've done everything you've asked me to do. You've revealed yourself in a mighty way to all these people, yet they still don't get it. So he goes to a tree, and he just feels like, God, just take me. I got nothing to live for. I don't know what else to do. And so then the angel comes. And the angel says to him, Elijah, wake up and eat. And now we get 5-year-old Elijah. I don't want to eat. I want to sleep. No, Elijah, wake up, eat your bread. I don't want to eat my bread. I want to sleep. Elijah, get up. You have to go to work. Eat your bread. No. Finally, the angel commands him. Get up, eat the barley cake, drink your water, and go do what God wants you to do, because you need energy. You need sustenance for the journey. So Elijah gets up, eats the cake, and begins his journey to complete the purpose and the mission that God has for him. Can I just tell you that sometimes lay people in the church and clergy in the church feel the same way? That no matter how hard it seems like we're doing things right, it's like they don't get it. I just want to go to sleep. But we have to keep going. Because God has given you and me and everybody in this church a purpose and a mission. But we need sustenance for the journey. And so now Jesus is there after he's done and fed all the thousands of people. And we heard the last several weeks about how he fed them and he multiplied the bread and he multiplied the fish. And what do we find out about them? You remember? Everybody's bellies were fed. They were full. People were being healed. Miracles were happening. And everybody's like, this is great. We're getting food. We're getting miracles. This is wonderful. And then Jesus says something that's pretty amazing. He says to the people, I am the bread of life. And the Jewish leadership go bonkers. They're like, how could this be? Now here's the reason. Now notice that Jesus goes from being a prophet, right? Oh, look at this prophet. He's feeding the people and they're happy. They're getting their bellies full. They're being entertained. Isn't this wonderful? Now all of a sudden, no, you're just a carpenter's son. He goes from a prophet to just being a carpenter's son. I know your mommy and your daddy. If he was from the South, that's what they'd say, right? I know your mama and your daddy, and you're just a carpenter's son. You are not the Son of God. So what does Jesus tell him? He says, I am the bread of life. And this makes them really upset. Now, we take that phrase a lot, I am the bread of life, and we put it on plaques, and we write it down, and it sounds nice, and we make little things out of it. But here's the thing. What Jesus said to them is not so much the bread of life part, which is important, but what makes it really important is the fact that he said, I am. Where else do we hear I am? Go all the way back. When God's in the burning bush, what does he say? I am that I am. And now all of a sudden the Jewish leadership is freaking out because this man in flesh is saying to them, I am that I am. I am that I am who is in the burning bush. I am that I am who led children out of Egypt. I am that I am who parted the Red Sea. I am that I am who is standing in front of you right now, looking you in the eyes and saying, I am the bread of life. Whew. So the Jewish leadership, they start murmuring, right? In Greek, it's called gagutsuing. Gagutsuing. It sounds Italian, but it's not. Gagutsuing. And it means to actually kind of gurgle and grumble out of the stomach. Gagutsuing. That can't be Jesus. That can't be the Messiah. Look at him. He's a carpenter's son. He's nothing good. What is he? He's saying he's God. He's gagutsuing. And Jesus goes even further than Moses. And Jesus says to them, stop gagutsuing all over the place. You're murmuring everywhere. And don't you realize that I offer you bread that's eternal? Because it's not just bread for nourishment. Jesus did not say, I am the bread of nourishment. Why? Because we could all sit here and have a wonderful meal. We could eat until our bellies are full, and we're still going to die. We still have to face death. But Jesus says, I am the bread of life. I am the bread that gives you eternity. I am the bread that will save you and redeem you and give you a relationship that you've never experienced before. When Jesus says, I am, and then he says, I am the bread of life, he's saying, I am the God that breaks darkness. I am the God that conquers death. I am the God that breaks division and brings harmony and relationship, and empire is broken. And the Jewish leadership can't make sense of it. Because Moses, their greatest prophet, had never seen the face of God. All they could see was the back of God, right? And now, they are looking into the eyes of God. And they're disappointed. They're disappointed because it's not the majestic Jesus that they were hoping for. It's the carpenter's son. It's Mary's boy. It's Joseph's adopted son who is just a carpenter's boy. Surely this can't be the Messiah, and definitely this is not God. It's too humble. And we do the same thing. We get tired and we look at Jesus and we say, it can't be that it's really you, because you're so humble. We just want to be entertained and we just want to be filled and happy. But Jesus is saying, I am the bread that you need for your journey. I am the bread that you need to sustain yourself so that you can continue the mission that I have given you, the purpose that I've made you for. And we're fed. We're fed on the outside and we're fed on the inside. Moses and Elijah are both climbing up to Mount Sinai. They're both climbing up to Mount Horeb. And friends, every week when we have the opportunity, I don't even need these notes now, I'm getting ready to preach. We have the opportunity to make the journey. We come into this place and we go through the waters of baptism and we come and we climb the hill. And we climb the mountain, and there in front of us is the body and blood of Christ. And we look at the little wafer. That's only 3 calories, by the way. We look at the little wafer, and it's small. It doesn't taste very good. It's not very enjoyable to eat. And we say, surely this cannot be the body of Jesus. Surely this can't be enough to give us strength for the journey. We just have to hurry up and get out of here so we can go and fill our bellies and be happy. And what Christ is telling you is, I will give you life that you can never imagine. And I will raise you up because you are called for a purpose. You are my people, and I have given myself for you. Come and taste and see that I am good. And so we come, and we are able to be present with Christ, both in his flesh and in his divinity, to be changed. So we can make it one more day. Now, this flesh, this body, is not going to like a magical potion. You know, I got a thing about fish and chips. I love it. I think it's my Canadian roots, but I love it. And there's nothing better than deep fried fish and chips with hush puppies that are deep fried, with French fries that are deep fried, with cod or haddock that is deep fried on a plate. As long as my plate is tan, it's good. But I was watching an infomercial about an air fryer. This guy gets on and he's telling us that if I buy this air fryer, I can make beef jerky, I can bake a cake, I can bake vegetables, I can fry chicken and fish, and it's no fat, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this doesn't look so good. But they're telling me how great it is. It's going to change my life. And I'll never be hungry again because in 32 minutes, I can make a meal for 8 in this air fryer. And it's not believable. But here we have an opportunity to be fed in a spiritual way that will give us sustenance and journey that will last not for an hour, not for a day, but for eternity. And we look at it and we find every other reason not to participate in it. I'm calling us all out this morning. I'm calling us out to decide where our faith is, what's really important to us. We have the choice to choose eternity and to accept the I am as present with us, or to say, no, it's nice, it's good, but there's so much more here that I want. I want the air fryer, which is empty and shallow and will probably break before the warranty's up. Christ has redeemed us for all of eternity. Do the journey. Take the journey. Follow the road that God has given you so you can fulfill the ministry. Yes, the ministry that Christ has given you to do. You are a disciple and you are called to make disciples. And the only way for you to do that is to be filled with the one who died and was the chief priest that taught us how to live and made it so we can live for eternity. Come, taste and see that Christ is good. His life will change you, his body will renew you, and it will break the empires of death that try to tell you that you can't make it. Come, be fed. Get up from under the tree. Taste and see. And get out and tell somebody about the love of Jesus. His bread is enough for everyone. Amen.